Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from Emara Ole Sereni Hotel here in Nairobi. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as our name suggests, the Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity. And we do this by creating a safe and an open platform for women of Kenya to discuss issues pertaining to their health and lifestyle, their well-being, their families, their jobs, and anything that affects them in one way or another. Statistically, there are higher risk factors to pregnancies over the age of 40. And of course, the risk factors keep increasing the older the woman gets. This is predominantly because being an old mom means that the body has to work double as much as it would if you were younger. That said, research shows that the number of women getting pregnant in their 30s, in their late 30s and their early 40s has doubled since the 1990s, claiming that one birth out of every 5 births is to a woman over the age of 35. Now, there are multiple reasons why women choose to wait to get babies later on in life. It could be because they are having fertility treatments. It could be because they started their careers early, or they just choose to wait to settle later on in life. Whatever the case, if you're curious about it, and if you're exploring and considering all the factors and risk factors and benefits, and of course everything that goes with getting a baby over 40, then this is definitely the show for you. So I am joined by ladies who have this is not just a statistic for them, but this is actually their way of life. They will share with us their pregnancy journey, how it is being a mom after the age of 40, which most of us would consider, ay, apo amezeeka sana. And then we'll also get an expert opinion from a gynecologist so that we can stop peddling around the stereotypes and myths, and we can be able to debunk how it is to have a child over the age of 40 years old. As always, we welcome you at home to take part in this and any other conversation that we may have by joining us on our newly placed social media page at Dadas KBC on Facebook. And of course, you can reach me directly on all my social media pages at Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. Now, before we get into today's very interesting topic, let's take a look at the following feature.
Pregnancy at 40 years is possible, but it is considered a high risk. The chances of getting pregnant per menstrual cycle decreases significantly, and the likelihood of miscarriage increases. Although 1 in 4 individuals in their 20s and 30s will become pregnant during a menstrual cycle, by the time they are 40 years old, just 1 in 10 will experience pregnancy during a menstrual cycle. You have a 44% probability of getting pregnant within a year at this age. This is due to the fact that your ovaries produce fewer eggs as you age. While some 40-year-old women had a complicated pregnancy, Cecilia's experience is one of overcome obstacles. She wanted a 3rd child after having 2 boys.
I didn't wanted a girl because mi napenda vitu za wasichana, napenda vitu poa poa, so I didn't wanted a girl to come after me. And after many years of trying, I didn't sit back. Even after now, my other son was past 5. My second son was past 5 now. I started looking for a baby. It was not easy because I had 3 instances of miscarriages, and I had 1 forced pregnancy, because I think I had anticipated so much. And then I started feeling like I already was pregnant, but I wasn't. And I had a blighted ovum.
From one complication to the other, Cecilia still pushed on.
Do you know, at 38, I got pregnant now with my girl. And because of the past instances, I think my womb had developed some weakness. So I was given a bed rest at 2 months. Wakaanza kusema sijui niko na Octavia Previa 4. Sijui mtoto amefungwa na hiyo code 4. So I was given a complete bed rest. Now I was weighing options. I had a job and I wanted a baby. I didn't have an option. I went home. And I'm telling you, it was not easy, because now from 2 months up to 9 months, unaona sasa unakaa tu, you are not going to work. At around 4 months, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. Oh my God. Ikafika wakati kwa sababu of the severity of the diabetes, ikakuwa sasa akaanza kusema I need to get some injections that I was doing hourly after every 6 hours. Ndio huyu mtoto apate, alikuwa anasema hana the breathing system was not okay, so akasema lazima nipate injections. I was getting those injections after 6 hours. I went through because I really wanted this girl, remember, and then in that 8 weeks sasa ninapimwa sukari, daktari akasema mahali sukari ita stabilize tu hivi niende hospitali. For the first time I went to Kijabe and I was booked for CS. The other babies, my firstborn and my secondborn, I had gotten them in a normal way. But now this girl, amekuja na complications, amekuja na hizi maneno zote, and now here, I have to go for a CS.
Even if you are healthy, having a child later in life can still have an impact on the infant's health.
Being the first child napitia CS, sasa vile nilienda theater, badala mambo ikuwe poa, niliingia theater, remember niko na sukari, pressure ikaenda juu. Nilikaa theater for 6 hours. When my baby came, the devil had really tried to put this baby down. The sugars were at 2. Having a baby with the sugars at 2 and my sugars were very high. The explanation I got from daktari, mtoto alikuwa amezoea kukula sukari kwa mwili. Her first stage was nursery. Because sasa alipelekwa nursery, akafanyiwe akastabiliziwe sukari. And within like 1 hour, 2 hours, the sugars were okay. They had been stabilized. But now she was diagnosed with jaundice. Akatibiwa, jaundice ikaisha. Vile jaundice iliisha, tukakaa on the 14th day, tukaambiwa akona hernia. Tukakaa tena. Bado tuko nursery, akatibiwa hernia, na hernia kidogo tukaambiwa itafunga, so at least sasa hiyo tukapewa clinic. On the 30th day, akaambiwa akona shimo kwa roho.
A month later, Cecilia decided that it was time to take baby Divine home.
I had to sign a letter to show that I'm the one who has said huyu mtoto atoke hospitali akiwa hivyo. And don't forget that we had stayed in the hospital for over a month. And now they are telling me to do an echo. It looks like she has a heart problem or something. And I'm telling you, God is so gracious. After we left hospital, up to now, we are 6 years. Baby Divine is healthy, looking good, and we have never gone back to the hospital.
Research has also indicated that having a child later in life can prolong your life, slow down mental health issues, and improve your child's academic performance. The story of Cecilia and many other women is proof that it is still possible to get pregnant and deliver a healthy child in your 40s. For Dadas Show, my name is Miriam Masava.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Dadas Show, and our conversation of the day is over 40 and pregnant. This is a discussion that has been going on for a while now, especially when some of the Hollywood celebrities are getting their children in their 50s. And we are here in Kenya wondering, is this okay? Is this normal? Society have their opinion. Women, we have our opinion. Everybody has their opinion. But today we are going to demystify this. We're going to have discussions with people who are living the life, who are there, who have babies in their 40s, and of course we're going to hear an expert opinion. So without further ado, let me introduce to you my wonderful panel. Right next to me, I have Madam Hazel Gashoka. Thank you so much, Hazel, for joining us. And Hazel was actually on this show, I believe, a couple of years ago. And if you want, you can always find the episode on YouTube along with all the other episodes that we've ever aired. So Hazel is a friend of Dada's show. So we are very happy to see you again, Hazel. And then next to her, we have our professional voice of the day. This is Dr. Amanda Kenya. And Dr. Amanda is just going to share with us from her vast experience what it's like so that we can go home with the knowledge that we need so that we can actually debunk some of these stereotypes and myths. And finally, we also have another mom in our audience. We've got Madam Grace Njoroge, who is going to share with us her story as well so that we can learn more today. So that's our wonderful panel of the day. Of course, I cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful audience who take their time day in, day out to sit with us as we discuss contentious issues affecting women in this great nation of ours, which is Kenya. Of course, I also acknowledge you at home for taking time on this Sunday afternoon to sit with me as we discuss what is happening within our borders, especially in regards to women and girls. So, to start us off, I want to put everything in context. I want everything to fall in context so that if anybody is joining us right now, they can be able to catch on and know what we are talking about. So to start us off, I'll start off with you, Dr. Amanda. How does age affect fertility? You know, tell us a little bit about yourself first, and how does age affect fertility? And what is the proper definition of an advanced maternal age?
I'm Dr. Amanda Kenya. I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist. So that means I'm a women's health specialist, and I actually have a special interest in menopause, midlife care, and pregnancy over the age of 35.
How does age affect fertility? You know, just explain to us like we are 2 years old. How does age, why is it that, you know, we get to a certain age, women, you're told, you can't get babies anymore, or whatever. How does age affect fertility? Yeah.
Right. So let's start with little girls who are still in the wombs of their mothers. When you're about 20 weeks old, you have about 7 million eggs, okay? And they're constantly being destroyed, right? From the time you're tiny to the time you're born.
Yeah.
So when you're born, you have around 2 million eggs, okay? And they're still continuing to be destroyed. By the time you have your first period, you have 300,000 to 400,000 eggs. And you lose about 1,000 every month. So every single cycle, you're losing eggs.
Oh,
so you can imagine it's just a downward decline.
Yeah.
So by the time you're in your early 30s, that's when we start seeing a proper decline in the not only the number, but also the quality of the eggs which are left. And then from the mid to late 30s, this decline accelerates. And we start seeing women having problems getting pregnant and also keeping a healthy pregnancy. There are a few risks.
Oh, wow. So we'll come on to the risks because I know majority of us, that's what they're concerned about. But how interesting is it that you, at 2 weeks in your mother's womb, you already had your own children? You were in your mother's womb and you already had yours. So, of course, I guess then that definitely explains the term advanced maternal age, because then you're carrying your eggs throughout your whole life span. So by the time you're getting to 30, then, you know, and you're losing them monthly. Wow, okay. Well, at least that puts things into context. Now, let's start with the meat of the story today. So, Hazel, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your pregnancy journey. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I got pregnant at 41, and that was naturally. So I'm there thinking, oh my gosh, this is really good. I've gotten pregnant, and I won't have any issues.
Yes.
I traveled after that, and when I did, I started spotting. So when I went to the doctor, he told me, unfortunately, I've miscarried. I had a chromosomal abnormality. And so, unfortunately, I had to get a DNC.
Yes.
So I didn't do anything after that in terms of trying to get healthier or anything. I just thought I'd be able to naturally get pregnant again. So at 43, I was lucky to naturally get pregnant again. And I thought, wow, this is working very well. But at 6 weeks, when I went to visit a doctor, he looked at the heartbeat and he said to me, your heartbeat is so low that we think that there's a problem. You may not be able to have this baby. So he gave me some progesterone and some estrogen because he said my levels were very low. Yeah. Unfortunately, after a week, I lost the baby. So that's when I knew something is now wrong. I decided I now have to take charge of my health and see what was going on. That's when I started doing tests. And the first test I did showed that I had a fibroid that was sitting on top of my uterus. So actually, I could not carry a baby to term. So that fibroid was removed. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I'll go and have the baby naturally. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. They went and then found out that I had endometriosis, and that's when your inner lining of your uterus grows outside.
It's outside, yeah.
And so they also had to do a surgery for that.
Yeah.
Following that, they also then found out that I had another fibroid that was inside my uterus. And by now, I'm 44. You know, time is just moving.
Time is just moving.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, when am I going to get this baby? So finally, when that last fibroid that was inside my uterus was removed, the doctor said, don't waste any time.
Yeah.
Just go and do IVF. And so I did IVF at the age of 45, and I was so blessed to get pregnant the first time I did IVF. The first time around.
Yeah.
Very nervous, of course, but also very excited that now I had managed to get pregnant.
Yes.
I mean, every time I'll check, is the baby moving? I mean, is everything okay? I had to do a lot of medical tests just to make sure that everything was working fine. So I delivered the baby at 46. And the first time I went to the doctor, the first doctor looked at me and asked me, where were you all this time?
Isn't that the question?
Yeah.
I'm sure. But yes.
Yes. And he was like, you know, you're my oldest patient. So that was very discouraging. But then I decided I'm blocking all of this and I'm not going to listen to what the doctor is saying.
Yes.
Went ahead and did it. After 2 years, I decided I wanted a second baby. This was a much, much easier pregnancy. Again, I went for IVF, and at 48, I got pregnant and had my baby.
Wow.
So now my babies are 9 and 6.
Wow. Congratulations on that. Now, you have mentioned IVF. So, Dr. Amanda, you know, based on Hazel's story, getting pregnant naturally at times can be close to impossible. You see, like for instance, in Hazel's story, like told us there was a fibroid that was sitting, so it could have been difficult for her to carry the pregnancy, you know, throughout the full term. What other alternatives are actually available to natural conception?
Right, that's a good question. Getting pregnant naturally when you're a bit older can be harder, not just because you have fewer eggs that are of poorer quality, but also because you might have a higher risk of having other chronic illnesses like high blood pressure, diabetes, anemia, and all sorts of things. She said she has endometriosis and fibroids. So apart from IVF, you really need to see a fertility specialist first of all,
Yes.
to find what your specific problem is. Are there any procedures that need to be done first, like removal of fibroids or treating endometriosis, controlling your blood pressure or any illnesses you have, before deciding, do we go the IVF route or do we just go straight to surrogacy? Are we able to get any eggs from you, or do we need to get eggs from a donor? Is your partner able to provide sperm, or do we need to get sperm from a donor and do intrauterine insemination or IVF? The direction you're going to go truly depends on your specific situation. So not everyone's story is the same.
Thank you so much. We've jumped the gun a little bit on that one, but it's so important because everybody keeps on thinking, oh my God, I'm older, I'm going to get IVF. Thank you for clarifying that every woman, every case is different. You can go and say, this is what I want to do, and then it doesn't fall for you. So now, next to our story of the second story of the day, Madam Grace Joroge.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your pregnancy journey.
Wow. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Grace Joroge Roberts. Joroge is my dad, and Robert is my husband. I got married when I was almost 36, conceived immediately. So I gave birth to my firstborn when I was 37, secondborn 38, thirdborn 43, healthy children, smooth pregnancy. So I'm just here to encourage someone that
Wow.
I was in the church all through, even that is why I got married at 38, waiting. So I think my story is to encourage someone somewhere. That, you know, the way God stays in the church, you know, not only in the church, even in the world, even they are not in the church, and they are like, years are going. Will I give birth? I'm here as a testimony. 3 healthy children. The gap between me and my last born is 43 years. She's 2 years. She's 2
I think
years.
that's the cutest thing I've heard.
Yeah,
so
she's
you have a
2
2-year-old.
Yes, I have a 2-year-old, and people normally think that she belongs to my house girl.
Oh,
Because even they look alike and like, okay, she's my daughter. And I'm happy. So it's good to be here to encourage a woman somewhere who is waiting.
Thank you so much, Gracie, for that. Now, back to you, Dr. Amanda. So Gracie has said, you know, she's got a child, 36, 38, and 43, and all of it has been smooth. But from my understanding and from my research, they're the lucky few, because most of the pregnancies have actually, you know, they're high risk. But what makes pregnancy after 40 years old high risk?
Okay, so first of all, that's actually a misconception. The majority of pregnancies, even above the age of 35, are going to be happy and healthy.
Okay.
Right? But compared to someone who is younger, the risks are slightly higher. Okay, so we have higher risks of miscarriage, higher risks of baby having genetic abnormalities. She talked about chromosomal abnormalities. We have a higher risk of women having preterm birth, that means delivering the baby too soon, higher risk of developing pregnancy-induced high blood pressure, pregnancy-induced diabetes, higher risk of bleeding during the pregnancy. So all these things have been noted to happen, and also a higher risk of stillbirth, which means the baby passes away while still in the womb. Yeah, so there's a higher risk, but it's still generally a low risk. Majority of the pregnancies are going to be smooth as long as you're, you know, being taken care of well. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks so much. I mean, you've already demystified something that we all thought, you know, majority. So as Dr. has said, majority of the pregnancies are actually, you know, they can move smoothly throughout all the way till delivery. It's just they're higher risk in comparison. In comparison to younger pregnancies. Now, we've said there are always multiple reasons as to why people choose. So what are some of the benefits? Because I know right now we have women in the audience, and we're so happy that we have Grace to encourage us and Hazel to encourage us, and of course Dr. Amanda to give us the facts. There's a woman out there who's thinking to herself, okay, fine then, I get it, but what are the benefits of having children later on in life? So I'll start off with you, Hazel, and then Grace, you're going to tell us, and then finally, from a medical standpoint, Dr. Amanda will share with us, what are the benefits of getting a baby over 40?
So in my case, I felt that in my career, I was more stable, and financially, it was something that I didn't need to worry about. So I think having that worry, where will I get money for my kid, can be very worrisome and very stressful. And then I just had this euphoria. You know, I'm older, it's happened, I'm now so happy, you know.
You're wiser.
Yes, I'm wiser, I can be there for my children. In fact, when my sons were born, both of them, I took time to homeschool them because I just had the time to be able to do it. But if I was younger, I'm sure I'd have been chasing work. It would have been a bit crazy. So that's a big benefit that I found too.
Wow. And I'm sure there's so many people who can attest to that, because we've been brought in a very female-empowered generation, especially most of us. And you're told to pursue your careers and pursue life, but then you're always like you said, church people are asking, madam, you're 35, 36, nothing is happening. What's going on? Yeah, unajua, where is your legacy? You're not going to be buried with your cars or your big career. So for women, it's really, really challenging. I want to skip you, Dr. Amanda, and go straight to Grace. What are some of the benefits? You have 3. What are some of the benefits of getting children, you know, later on in life?
Yeah, I have 3, one boy, 2 girls. And every woman, it's the desire of every woman to have a child. And having the children is such a joy. You know, you go at home, and of course, most of my age mates wako na Gen Z.
Wako na Gen Z.
Inawasumbua. At this time, my children are still young. And there's such a joy, especially when you get home. And we're just there to encourage people. Just go for a child. Even if you are 40, don't fear anything. Even if you are over 40, don't fear anything. Go for the child, because they bring such a joy in every woman. There is such a joy.
Wow, thank you so much. Great. You know, the rewarding experience. And sometimes I feel like we truly don't appreciate the little things in life until we get a little bit older. And finally, from a medical point of view, what are some of the benefits of getting children later on in life?
Yeah, there are quite a number. But first, I'll start by dispelling another myth
Yes.
that Grace has just mentioned. It's not the desire of every woman to have a child. Some women actually are just not interested.
Yeah.
It's not a goal of theirs or their objective.
Oh, okay.
And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
So some of the benefits are, yes, like Hazel had mentioned, you're more financially stable, you're more likely to be in a stable relationship or marriage. Actually, a stable relationship is associated with older mothers.
Yes.
Because it does take time to find a suitable partner for yourself. You have a stronger social support when you're older. You have long-standing friends and family. You have more life experiences. Maybe you've already been an auntie or a godmother. You've taken care of other people's kids. And then there are also medical benefits. Okay, studies have shown that women who have their first child when they're above the age of 30 are twice as likely to live up to the age of 95 than women who had their first child when they were less than 30 years old. Okay, I think we don't know exactly why, but my theory is that it's your body's way of just trying to
Giving you a new lease.
take care of
It's
new
really a
lease,
new lease,
exactly.
yeah.
To take care of your kids, just push you a bit further. And also another one is your brain power. You know that for everyone, naturally, as you get older, your brain power declines, then you start developing dementia and all that. That happens much slower in women who have had children late. Again, your body is just trying to fight to live a bit longer and be a bit sharper for your kids who are now growing up. Other benefits are even for the children. Children who are born to older mothers tend to be more educated. They tend to be more tech savvy, more well adjusted and emotionally stable because their parents are quite assured.
Are settled. They're not just, jumping off the wall like some of us were at 19.
Right. And even accidents, even children having accidents, it's less in when the mothers are older. Yeah, those are some of the benefits.
So the baby is born already being a nice, older baby person. Speaking of that, what are some of the misconceptions, especially now? I want you to tell me, Hazel, what are some of the misconceptions of IVF? Because there are so many misconceptions about all these alternatives to natural conception. And of course that makes people either shy away or, there's a lot of discouragement. But what are some of the misconceptions that you have experienced in regards to IVF?
I believe that there's this syndrome of people saying that it's a scientific baby, right? Or it's not like a natural baby. But now a lot of people have come to accept it and just say, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's the way you chose to have your child, and it worked, right? There's a misconception that it's really painful. It's not that painful. There's a misconception that the drugs will make you very emotional. For some people, yes. But in my case,
pregnancy would make you emotional. Just pregnancy by itself.
Will make you very emotional.
Without any other drugs.
Right.
We were bawling our eyes out for no reason.
Exactly.
Well, for reasons, but please,
Then there's another misconception that it doesn't work. I'm here to tell you that it works. The 2 times I had it done, only twice, first time around, it became positive for me. So it works. There's a misconception that it's too expensive. Obviously, if you try and do it abroad, it's going to be really expensive. But here in Kenya, it's more affordable. So those
there are places here locally that I think that's also some information that I'm sure of yours would like to know. There are places locally that IVF can be performed.
Yes, in fact, I hear Kenyatta Hospital is working on one IVF clinic, that will be affordable for people. So I think it's coming up,
That's good. And like Grace, who is here to encourage us, I also want to encourage you at home because when it becomes, there are all these things that are being put in place to ensure that, if you want to get your baby at 40, then by all means, you do so. What are some of the other misconceptions, Dr. Amanda, that people have in regards to these alternatives to natural conception?
You know what? Hazel has really summarized all of them really well. I actually don't have any to add. But I think the one specific one is about the cost. There are so many ways to make it work. There are payment plans and all that. So if it's something you're considering, that urge to have a child, like Grace said, can be really strong in someone who has it. So just explore your options. Don't keep it to yourself, struggling and suffering. Just reach out for help and see how we can help you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amanda. Now, speaking of misconceptions and myths, Grace, You got 2 of your children, is it 2? Or well, most of them later in life. What have been the reactions of people?
They see you are pregnant, then when you go to the hospital, you are with 19, 20, so you are the oldest.
Yes.
So even the way they look at you like, ulikuanga wapi?
Yeah.
It's just the society. Like when you're having the children, then people are looking at you, "Wani watoto wako?" So like, but you have to encourage yourself, like, yes, ni wangu. And I'm happy, I'm proud to have them. It's just the society which kuna shida. Then there is another thing that as the age goes, utapata mtoto who is hyper, hapa kuna shida. Ni uongo.
Kwa sababu
Yes,
haven't we all had that?
Yes.
Ati ukizaa kama umechelewa, mtoto anazaliwa akiwa mjinga.
Hakuna. My children are very okay, the 3 of them.
Yes.
My sister knows them. They are very okay, the 3 of them. Actually, the first one is 9, the other one 8, walifuatana, then akakadogo kako 2.
Na kako chap.
My friend, that girl before she was 1, all of us, she's okay, she's talking. Before even 2 years, very okay, ako sawa kabisa. So you ati utapata mtoto sijui ana nini, hakuna. Yeah, they're okay, and I was not under any medication.
Yes.
I never took any fertility drug or anything. They just came naturally by God's grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I like that because I think most of the time those are the 2 biggest misconceptions that people have a tendency of having. Oh, mtoto atakuwa mjinga, atakuwa na issues mingi sana. Or mara, you're being told that, you're too old. What are you doing? What were you doing? Where were you? I think it's about time that, we change our mindset on certain things. We are on Dadas Show, we are always about changing mindsets when it does not suit us. When it is not suiting us and it is not right and it is not adding to our development and for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve, then we need to go back and unlearn certain things. Before we go on break, I want Dr. Amanda to give us a piece of advice from a medical point of view.
What I would advise you, if you wish to get pregnant and you're getting up there in age, even before you get pregnant, please see a gynecologist. It's for what we call preconception care, right? So even before you get pregnant, you want to be screened for any chronic illnesses, high blood pressure, diabetes. We want to start you on any supplements that you might need in case you have deficiencies. And as soon as you get pregnant, we might want to start you on certain medications to prevent a pregnancy loss or to prevent you from developing high blood pressure in pregnancy. There are certain things we can do to help. Rather than, staying at home for weeks and then coming to hospital when it's a bit late and we find some things are not so okay. Yes. So just seeking care in time is very important.
Okay. But it's definitely possible. I mean, once you seek, come, go for it. Would you tell them to go for it?
Yes, definitely. If that is your wish, no one should tell you that it's too late for you to try for pregnancy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Amanda, Grace, and Hazel. We're going to take a short break and then we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back to Dadas Show. This is my favorite part of the show where our wonderful audience gets to interact with our panelists. Of course, even you at home, if you have questions and comments and feedback and anything you'd like to share about this episode or any other we have aired, remember to reach us on Dadas Show KBC on Facebook and on my personal pages at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. Remember, the topic of discussion is 40 and pregnant. So we are demystifying, we are debunking, we are explaining, and we are learning more about what it's like to be pregnant and over 40 years old. So let's get to it, and let's go to our first question of this session from Cecilia.
I got my firstborn at the age of 20.
And then I have my last born who I got at the age of 38. And when I got my last pregnancy, I developed gestational diabetes. And now we are 6 years down the line, and the diabetes is still on. What could be happening? Do I have hope for this diabetes to go? Because what I heard from Daktari, they said gestational can just go off. Is it? Do I have any hope?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cecilia, for that question. That's actually an important question. So, when anyone who is pregnant has a risk of developing diabetes in pregnancy, like you said, it's called gestational diabetes. So usually this diabetes comes when you're pregnant, and after a few weeks of delivery, the diabetes goes away on its own, right? But in a few people, the diabetes persists. Okay, usually for the rest of their lives. Now, the thing about having a child after the age of 35 is if you do develop diabetes in pregnancy, you're more likely to have a diabetes that persists, okay? Now, in terms of do you have hope, are you stuck with this diabetes for the rest of your life, I would urge you to seek the care of a diabetes reversal specialist. We have a few in the country. You'd be surprised the things that we're able to do now with really strict diet control and medication and counseling on lifestyle changes, and you never know, you might be one of the lucky ones. Yeah, don't give up.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cecilia. I hope your question has been answered. Yeah, and I'm actually curious about these gestational conditions. Are they more prevalent when you give birth when you're older? Or does it happen, maybe throughout somebody's, as long as you're pregnant, regardless of the age?
Right, so most of these conditions, the problem starts with the placenta, okay? Even from the implantation and the development of the placenta from a really, really early point in the pregnancy.
Yes.
So there's almost nothing, there's very little you can do to prevent it other than to watch out for it and know what to do when it comes. So even someone who is 20 years old, even someone who is 25, early 30s, but it does tend to be more prevalent in women who are older. Yeah, not just diabetes, but also hypertension. Yeah.
Thank you so much. One additional one actually that we forgot to mention. What are some of the things that women, because you talked about earlier about being able, going to see your doctor. But aside from seeing your doctor, so I've gone to see a doctor, I'm 39 years old, I've gone to see a doctor, I've said I would want to get a baby. So the doctor has said you're good to go. What other good practices should I put in place?
So if you're planning to, or if you wish to have a pregnancy later in life, then we don't have the luxury of eating unhealthily, right? So we need to have a good diet, a wholesome diet with lots of plants, lots of protein, a little bit of carbs. We need to avoid having a sedentary lifestyle. So some kind of exercise needs to be incorporated into our routine, at least 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week of walking. You don't have to sign up for an expensive gym and go and carry the heaviest weights available, but just keep your body moving, right? There are some supplements you can take depending on where you live and the kind of food you eat to supplement your food and just make sure that you're not anemic, you're getting enough calcium and everything that you need, the micronutrients. Also, cultivating a community. This is not something you want to do in isolation.
Yes.
You want a strong support system. So if that means getting on groups on Facebook, like Hazel will tell us about, or, in church, like Grace mentioned, those are some of the things you can do. You might want to engage with a therapist or a counselor just to make sure that you're taught coping mechanisms when things get really stressful. So you're not, becoming depressed and anxious and just having a hard time. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm sure those are pearls of wisdom and things that you should do for anyone who's at home or who is looking into getting pregnant. Those are definitely things that you definitely need to, on top of seeing your doctor, you need to look into that. We'll move on with our question and answer session. Our next question of the day is from Eda.
Hello. So my question goes to Hazel about older women who still need to get pregnant or who still need to have kids and are having complications, is it recommended for them to have surrogacy?
Surrogacy is definitely recommended for the women who cannot carry. If you go for an assessment to your doctor and the doctor says that they don't recommend you carry, then definitely try and get a surrogate. I have a friend whose HCG levels, that's the hormone that shows up when you're pregnant, her hormone levels were not going up. And so every time she got pregnant, she'd lose the baby, like at really at 6 weeks. So in her case, she had to get a surrogate. And doctors have to prescribe and tell you the surrogate has to be less than 32 years old. They have to have had their own child. And the challenging thing is that you have to make sure that this surrogate eats well, they're not drinking alcohol, they're not smoking, they're exercising, and they keep well. Because, you know, you get these young people, and sometimes, you know, they want to continue with their party life, and now they're carrying this precious baby.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the surrogate is also in check, that they're eating well, they're taking their hormones, whatever the doctor prescribes. So definitely it's one thing that's recommended because you don't want to put your life at risk. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. That's actually, you know, that has led so many questions in my mind in regards to surrogacy. I don't know if you will be open to coming the next time and we talk about surrogacy, because I'm thinking this is somebody who's carrying your precious cargo. How do you control what they eat? Do you keep them in your house for the 9 months? And what laws have been put to protect you and to also to protect them when it comes to surrogacy? You know, what kind of financial arrangement do you have? I think that's a whole conversation. We've already formed our topic for the next show. We need to understand and debunk surrogacy. You know, does that mean, what are the qualifications? What are the screening processes? Our next question for the day is from Joanne.
My question goes to Grace. How best does society support older moms?
Thank you. Maybe I would start by saying sometimes the society is so harsh on women who are getting their children above that 5 years. And I would like to talk to someone, a woman who is looking forward to have a child, and she should go forward with a lot of courage, expecting criticism, take them positively, and move on. And then to the society, the society should embrace us. Sio kupenda ati unapata watoto ukiwa advanced in age. Maybe ni kujipata ulijipata, and maybe someone had a fertility issue, mwingine akakuwa na miscarriages. You know, you don't know their stories hapo. Exactly. You know, hujui story yake ili ajipata anapata mtoto akiwa 40 years. Hujui story yake. And I wish the society could just embrace us and encourage us, like, hey, mom, you are pregnant at this age. Wow, congratulations. Which you don't see so much. And maybe, I don't know how we can do. There is a woman, a friend of mine, she has one child, and nikamuliza, hey, number 2. And she told me, Grace, you are not sensitive. I'm like, what? Then I said, I'm so sorry. Akaniambia siku hizi, watu haulizagi mambo ya watoto. Sababu hujui kwa nini. So I wish the society could just be sensitive, especially friends and family members. I remember when I was expecting my firstborn, I was so excited. Yeah. Then I told one of my classmates, tulikuwa primary, akaniambia, guy, saidi unapata mtoto wangu sijui kwa class 6. Hey, nikamwambia na mimi nilisoma, you know? Yeah,
that's a good rebuttal.
You know, like, at this age, wangu I think the firstborn was almost completing class 8. So Nisa, you know, you can imagine you're so excited. Oh, I'm pregnant. And then, so I told her, na mimi nilisoma. So we have to encourage ourselves. If you are above that 5, just encourage yourself. And then the society be friendly to us. Just be friendly to us. Sio kupenda, ni kujipata. I know most of the people wanasema hivyo, ni kujipata, nijipata hivi. Maybe I was in career. You know, so many factors. Ile ulienda ukajipata at that. So many factors. So I wish the society, especially friends and relatives, especially those close sisters and brothers, they can really harass you. Unapata mtoto lini? And they are your own people. This is when ikifika maybe December holiday when we are going home, Unaogopa?
Hautaki hata kuenda.
Hutaki hata kwenda, utaulizwa, umekuja peke yako tena? Tukubalini, you know?
Yeah.
Ni sahi tuko peke yetu.
Yeah.
Maybe after 5 years, tutakuja na watatu wamefuatana kama
That is
wangu.
true. Yeah.
You know, that is what I would say to the society.
Wow. Thank
From
you so
all circles, the church, the society, the family members, let them be friends to us.
Thank you so much, Grace. And to be honest, I think everything you've said is completely spot on. Hata kwa wale ni kupenda kwako. Even for those who have decided to wait. I think at the end of the day, society, we need to practice a lot of compassion as members of the society. And we need to also be very sensitive to people. I think we're in an age now where we know. We know what is right and what is wrong. We're in an age where we know what will be offensive and what is not going to be offensive. And I think those are some of the perks of getting older, even being an older mom. It's not like you're dealing with adults, but you'd always think, you would think that they would know what to say, because like Grace has very well put, there are a myriad of reasons why people wait. And not all of them could be negative, some could be positive. So let's embrace each other as we are. Let us show each other a lot of compassion. Let's deal with each other with a lot of grace, like Grace has said. So let's move on to our next question of the day, which is our final question, which is from Maggie.
My question goes to Hazel. That according to statistics, it shows that a lot of young women go through postmortem depression. I'd like to know, how was your mental state after miscarrying and successfully having 2 babies afterwards?
Thank you for your question. One of the things that is understated a lot is therapy. So one of the things I did was have therapy, because I just kept getting these miscarriages, and your mental state needs to be right. Another thing that happened in my situation was that I had just gotten retrenched from my job. It was a very stressful job. I honestly don't think I'd have become pregnant if I was still working and I had that job. Another thing that really helped me was my husband. He was very supportive, and during my first pregnancy, I was dragging him along. Every appointment I went for, I'm like, I wanted him to feel the same pain I was feeling. But in my second pregnancy, I realized, you know what? I met other women who are going through the same thing. And that's a very good support system, because you call somebody in the morning, they're going through nausea, you're going through nausea. Even after we had our babies, we still stayed in touch with these women. So they were a very good supportive system. The other thing I could say is that the internet has now become so good. You can join a Facebook group, like the doctor was talking about. You can join church groups, like Grace was talking about. So there's a lot of support that's out there. In my case, I can say I was so overjoyed to have the babies that I didn't actually go through that postpartum depression. But also sleeping well is big, because once a baby is born, let me tell you, your sleep cycle goes off. And once you can't sleep well, your gut is not working, you can't think straight, you get to a point you feel like you will lose it. Another thing I did during my getting the babies was go for hot yoga. It's something that really helped me distress and just kept, my body going well. So those are some of the things I would recommend for people.
Wow. I mean, I think pregnancy, in its sense, whatever age, can present a set of challenges, especially because your body is already changing. So now even your psyche, definitely something is going to happen. And depending on the kind of support structure that you have, or the kind of society that you are having this pregnancy in, it will all determine what your mental state is like. So I believe even for older moms, especially with everything that Grace has said, everybody has questions, about this, about this. I feel like what Hazel said needs to be reiterated over and over again. Never underestimate the importance of therapy. Therapy especially for everything in general. I mean, I'm an advocate of therapy, but for a situation like this, I think every single step of the way, if you're an older mom, if you're even planning on conceiving, I think don't wait until you're pregnant to go for therapy. Start, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the things that you're feeling? What is the frustration that is involved in this whole process? So thank you so much, Hazel. That was really well put. So I want to give an opportunity to each of my panelists to give us one parting shot, one piece of advice to the ladies who are out there, to society in general in regards to, you know, older pregnancies. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just give us one parting shot, as we call it, a day. Hazel, I'll start off with you.
I'm seeing a lot of Gen Zs here, but one of the things I'd like to tell you ladies is freeze your eggs. I know it's a topic for another day. Yes. But as you're young, you don't want to be older and you're trying to have a baby and you cannot. So please freeze your eggs.
Oh wow, that's new. That was completely unexpected. But I like it. So I mean, that's one of the. So now that is that's food for thought for you guys. Go and Google, what does freezing eggs entail? You know, what is it all about? And then maybe we can touch on that a little bit later. What about you, Dr. Amanda? What piece of advice can you? First of all, maybe you tell us what is freezing eggs and what is it all about, and then you can give us some advice. Now that Hazel has thrown that out there.
Thanks, Hazel, for adding for me work. So freezing eggs, like remember we've said, as you get older, you have less eggs, and even the ones you have left are of lower quality. So freezing eggs means when you're younger, under the age of 35, or if you see like you're getting towards the age of 35 and you haven't had all your children or you haven't had any children, we can do a procedure whereby we stimulate you to produce lots of eggs, and then we harvest them, kind of like we're about to do IVF. Yes. But instead of proceeding with getting your eggs and mixing them with sperm to fertilize and put back for pregnancy, we just take your eggs alone and freeze them, and they can be frozen for years. So eventually, when you're ready to get pregnant, we can use your young eggs to reduce your risk of all these complications that we've talked about, and to make it easier for you. So that's what egg freezing is.
I've got so many questions. So you're going to put the young eggs in the old body.
Right.
Oh dear. Another conversation for another day, but give us a parting shot, your parting shot for the day.
Yeah, so for my parting shot, let me take a doctor's perspective. I want you to know that you are our bosses, right? There would not be any food on my table without you. So you need to keep in mind that when you're going to a doctor's office and you're requesting something, you want compassionate care. You don't want to be dismissed, okay? So you're there, you're 45 years old and you want to get pregnant. If someone is dismissing you, if someone is saying, oh, you're my oldest patient, or I don't know what, you know there are other doctors, right? You're interviewing doctors. If you don't like that one, you go to another one. And you keep going until you find someone who you vibe with and who is able to provide you with compassion and accurate care, someone who has enough time for you to take care of you the way you want. You deserve to have what you want. And if it's available, then why not?
Thank you so much. And we rarely hear doctors talking like that. They're just like, come see me, give me your money, you know? But now when you're saying, I am your boss, so until you get the doctor that is suitable for you, because even doctors are also human beings and people may have their own biasness. So you don't need that. If you find, like she said, if you're not vibing with a doctor and you find that this doctor has biasness, then it's going to make this whole process, which in some cases can be very grueling, even longer. So thank you so much, Dr. Amanda, for that. Gracie Grace, give us your parting shot for the day.
Thank you once again. What I would say, if you are past 35, it is very possible to have even 5 children.
Yes.
It's very possible to get healthy children. Another thing, when you are expecting, do not fear to go to clinics. You know, because you go to the clinics, as I had said, unajipata uko na Gen Z. So you say, uko sitarudi until I deliver. Do not fear. Just go for the sake of the baby. Go ahead. And maybe I can conclude by saying, with God, all things are possible.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for my wonderful panel for the day. You guys did amazing. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of today's show. I believe the conversation was as illuminating for you as it was for me. Now, my takeaway in all of this is getting a baby over the age of 40 is so much more common like I said when we began the show, than it was, let's say, about 10 years ago. So if you want to get a baby over the age of 40, go for it. You'll definitely be in good company. But always remember to consult your doctor to talk about all your individual risks. So on behalf of the production team at KBC, my location partner, Emara Ole Sereni Hotel here in Nairobi, myself, Ashikombune, I wish you all a fantastic week, and I will catch you same time, same place on Dadas Show. Until then, goodbye for now.